everyone, good evening and welcome back to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. Today is 30th of June and this entire video series it's brought to you by LawSikho. So now let's head to the agenda for today. The first segment for today's discussion is the editorial segment, and here we talk about this article which is titled as Legitimacy of a Uniform Code. See, essentially, here the author is trying to say that the UCC, the concept of having a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India, it has its legitimacy in three sources, one of which is the Constitution of India itself. And so here we're going to understand as to what are the other two sources and what are the arguments in favor of implementation of UCC that the author has put forth. The second segment for today would be the news update segment. And thirdly, we talk about important legal developments of the day. So with this, let's dive into the TNA. And the first point of discussion would be this article. Let's start with the why of it first. See, the discussion around the implementation of Uniform Civil Code, it has been going on for a really long time. And in the recent past, due to the comments of the Law Commission and the reports of Law Commission, the entire discourse around Uniform Civil Code, it has gotten the traction again. And very recently, it has again gotten the traction after the comments that have been made by the Prime Minister of our country, Shri Narendra Modi, to rally support in favor of its implementation. As far as the legal basis of UCC is concerned, the relevant article is Article 44 of the Indian Constitution, which states that the state shall endeavour to enforce a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. See, it is the opinion of the author that the Prime Minister that we have currently in power, it is the most appropriate time, and he has the caliber to sort of implement and bring about this particular code, given the fact that he has also abrogated Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, which provided for the special status of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, now which has been bifurcated into union territories. So therefore, the author is saying that the abrogation of Article 370, after this has been done, politically this is the most appropriate time for the implementation of the UCC. And its implementation, it is going to bring an end to the plight of Muslim women who are disadvantaged due to their customary laws. And therefore, this is going to ascertain a state of gender equality. To justify the legitimacy of UCC, the author has cited three sources, first of which is constitutional provisions and the backing of constitution and the ideals of constitution. Second is the assembly debates, the constituent assembly debates. And thirdly, the multiple judgments of the Honorable Apex Court. So let's start with the constitution first. See, the author has very vocally stated that as far as constitution is concerned, it serves as the guiding light, embodying the principles of justice, of gender equality, and of secularism, which forms the bedrock of UCC. And about the assembly debates being the source of UCC, it has been stated that the Constituent Assembly debates, they offer very valuable insights into the intent behind promoting a common civil code. To cite an instance, the author has quoted K. Munshi, who said, and I quote, "The point, however, is this: whether we are going to consolidate and unify our personal law in such a way that the way of life of the whole country, it may in course of time be unified and secular. What have these things to do with religion? I really fail to understand." Unquote. Now, as far as Supreme Court's judgment is concerned, Supreme Court has consistently, time and again, reaffirmed the significance of the Constitution and its fundamental values while interpreting the personal laws and addressing this entire conflict between the customary practices and the fundamental rights. So therefore, drawing its strength from these pillars, the UCC, it can protect against discrimination in all of these matters of personal law, be it, let's say, divorce, maintenance, adoption, succession. So this is the basic premise of the author's argument. And further, to counteract the opposition's opposition to UCC, the political party's opposition to UCC, the author has said that for this very purpose, Supreme Court's judgment in the case of Sarla Mudgal, it can be made reference to. or it can be referred to. So here the Supreme Court said that it appears that even 41 years thereafter, the rulers of the day, they're not in a mood to retrieve Article 44 from the cold storage where it is lying since 1949. The governments which have come and gone, they have so far failed to make any effort towards unifying the personal law for all Indians, and the reasons they are very way too obvious to be stated. So, therefore, it is imperative, as per the author, to recognize that in instances where fundamental rights clash with customary law, of course, the fundamental rights they are going to prevail. The UCC it seeks to establish a common set of civil laws for all the citizens, regardless of their religion, their culture, thereby promoting equality and ensuring justice for all. Another judgment that wherein the Supreme Court has highlighted this concept is the case of Indian Young Lawyers Association, which is a 2018 judgment which said that in the constitutional order of priorities, the right to religious freedom it is to be exercised in a manner which is in consonance with the vision which is underlining the principles of Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, which is the fundamental rights of the citizens or of which are envisaged in the Indian Constitution. So, therefore, the author essentially is saying that politicians opposing the implementation of UCC they should acknowledge a fundamental principle that India's governance it is very deeply rooted in the Constitution and not in any religious books. And with this, we proceed with the next segment for today. And this has brought us to the national news category for today, with this being the first update. India removed from UN report on impact of armed conflict on children. United Nations Secretary General he has removed India from his annual report on the impact of armed conflict on children, and the reasons that have been cited for this removal it is the measures that have been taken by the Indian government for the better protection of our children. India, it was mentioned in the report of the Secretary General since the year 2010, along with other countries such as Burkina Faso, we have Cameroon, Chad, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Philippines. And the reason for this inclusion was the alleged recruitment and the use of young boys by armed groups in Jammu and Kashmir, their detainment by the Indian security forces in Jammu and Kashmir for this very purpose, for a reason which is their alleged association with the armed groups or on the national security grounds. India's first hydrogen powered train it is to run from Jind district of Haryana. In a major boost towards greening the national transporters network, Indian Railway's first hydrogen train it is expected to start from Jind district of Haryana, and this is expected to start by the March of next year. Hydrogen trains, which rely on fuel calls to convert hydrogen and oxygen into electricity, they offer a clean and environmentally friendly alternative to the traditional diesel trains that we have as of this moment. Jhelum Goswami, Heather Knight, Eoin Morgan, they are to join MCC World Cricket Committee. Goswami is a legendary former India fast bowler who represented India in 12 tests, 204 ODIs and 68 T20s, picking up almost around 355 wickets across formats. Heather Knight has captained England since the year 2016 and lifted the ICC Women's World Cup at Lord's only a year after she took this particular role. The all-rounder has been one of the trailblazers for the women's game in England. Eoin Morgan is England's all-time leading run scorer in ODI cricket with just shy of 7,000 runs. He also lifted the ICC Men's World Cup trophy at the end of an unforgettable final against New Zealand in the year 2019. Sarbananda Sonowal has launched a new CSR guideline which is called Sagar Samajik Sahayog. The new CSR, which is Corporate Social Responsibility Guidelines, they will impact projects and programs related to activities specified in Section 70 of the Major Port Authorities Act of the year 2021. For the purpose of planning and implementing CSR projects, A corporate social responsibility committee, it shall be constituted in each major port. This committee, it shall be headed by the deputy chairman or chairperson of the major port and shall also have two other members. Each major port shall prepare a corporate social responsibility plan for every financial year and integrate its CSR and business plan with the social and the environmental concerns which are related to the business of the entity. Center has approved ratification of headquarters agreement with CDRI. The Union Cabinet, it has granted approval for the ratification of the headquarters agreement between the Indian government and the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. This agreement, which is signed on 22nd of August last year, it marks a significant step in India's pursuit of a global pursuit of having a global leadership role when it comes to climate change and disaster resilience. Maharashtra Cabinet, it approves renaming two key sea links after Veer Savarkar and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The Chief Minister of the state, he announced that Versova-Bandra Sea Link, it will be renamed as Veer Savarkar Setu, while the Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link, it is going to be renamed as Atal Bihari Vajpayee Smruti Nahava Sheva Atal Setu. This decision to rename the harbour, it was taken in the state cabinet meeting that was chaired by the Chief Minister himself. DRDO, it organizes Anusandhan Chintan Shivir to encourage defense research and development. The Defense Research and Development Organization, also commonly known as the DRDO, it organized an Anusandhan Chintan Shivir in New Delhi, which with the aim to encourage defense R&D within the industry and academia. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Anil Chauhan, he was the chief guest at this particular event, and a list of 75 technology priority areas they were released on this particular occasion in this event. NUS, it makes history, first Asian university in QS rankings best 10. The National University of Singapore, it has made it to the top 10 global ranking of institutions for the very first time. It came in 8 in the latest Britain-based QS World University Rankings for the year 2024, released on June 28, 2023. This makes NUS the highest ranked Asian university and the first from Asia to be in the top 10 list. And this has brought us to the international segment for today, with this being the first update. International Day of Tropics, it is observed globally on 29th of June. This day, it celebrates the extraordinary diversity of tropics while highlighting the unique challenges and the opportunities that nations of the tropics face. It provides an opportunity to take stock of the progress across the tropics, to share tropical stories and expertise, and to acknowledge the diversity and the potential that this region has. The inaugural State of Tropics report, it was launched on 29th of June in the year 2014, which is around a decade ago, as the culmination of a collaboration between 12 leading tropical research institutions. The report, it offers a unique perspective on this increasingly important region. Marking the anniversary of the report's launch, the United Nations General Assembly, it adopted a resolution 2 years later, that is in the year 2016, which declared 29th June of each year to be observed as the International Day of Tropics. And this has brought us to the legal update segment for today, with this being the first update. The Rajasthan High Court has recently held that High Court cannot exercise inherent powers under Section 482 of the CRPC for the purpose of reviewing its judgment. Embargo under Section 362 it is going to apply. The Jaipur bench of Rajasthan High Court, it has reiterated that the inherent powers of the High Court under Section 482 of the CRPC, it cannot be invoked for the purpose of altering or reviewing the final order of a criminal court. The court further held, and I quote, "A plain reading of Section 482 CRPC, it showcases that nothing in the CRPC shall be deemed to limit or to affect the inherent powers of the High Court. However, the embargo that lies under Section 362 of the CRPC, which prohibits a court from altering or from reviewing its judgment or final order disposing of a case except to correct a clerical or arithmetic error. It applies to Section 482 CRPC as well. The Supreme Court has time and again held that the inherent jurisdiction of the High Court, it cannot be invoked to override the bar of review under Section 362 of the CRPC. The name of this particular matter is Dharam Singh Meena and another versus State of Rajasthan and another. Moving on to another update which comes from the High Court of Himachal Pradesh. Section 10 CPC, it applies only in cases where whole subject matter in both suit it is identical. The High Court of Himachal Pradesh, while highlighting the requirement of an identical subject matter for the application of Section 10 of the Code of Civil Procedure, has emphasized that the words directly and substantially in issue, it should be interpreted in contrast to matters that are merely incidental or collateral. The name of this particular matter is Ashok Lal Chopra versus Mrs. Kiran Kapoor and others. And with this, we've come to an end of the TNA for today. In case you want to get access to the free study material that LawSikho curates or the TNA slides that have been used in this video, please feel free to join our Telegram channel. And for the very same purpose, you may click on the link which is given in the description of this video, or you may scan the barcode here. These are the point of contacts in case you want to get in touch with LawSikho. Also, the quiz that is based on yesterday's TNA, it is made available for your kind consideration in the description of this video. And I would highly encourage all of you to please go ahead and attempt the same. Thank you for being with us.